But I think more and more people, yeah, because I think more and more. So if we have businesses, organizations are.
And two of them.
For some reason, I thought we had talking about
That's how the rule was
individuals.
read.
I have some emails that-
That is.
You could.
We had a deal.
I'm gonna go back and read it and see if I need something, but I mean,
Second
especially
marriage.
beginning, and I'm like, well, that can't be right.
Yeah.
To have the
Oh,
change.
yeah, there's so much.
It is, so we took all the documentation.
Yeah.
She was so proud, we had everything. all given.
Yeah.
Somebody's trying to get in. It's a form you're supposed to get you married.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so we had to get in. I actually done it twice.
I know,
You've been down there standing in line.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen it. Apparently, they say this week that it's, they've fixed
When they're behind.
It's what?
Well,
that they fixed,
the committee.
like they've designated certain hours for. But
I
now.
don't know if Eddie and I would be, you're both.
Yeah, all those people are something.
I think so. That sounds like it.
Short line.
Committee.
Merge it.
We didn't change.
So like-
No, I think we just kept it on.
Stable.
I'm fairly certain it's George.
And,
County.
certain hours for walk-in. Okay. Yeah.
Well, she'll just turned 71. We, trying to put plans together for this future.
We don't have to vote on anything in finance committee meeting, do we? Or is it just the board meeting?
In the board meeting.
That's what I thought, okay.
Yeah.
So.
I don't think about that.
Oh,
Probably like, how am I? I'm 65.
Roy's.
He's 66.
Two years ago, when Landis Academy got canceled.
I just turned 71.
Check.
Oh, you give it a share. Anyway, that's a whole different topic.
Yeah, that's good.
But it's scary. Make sure, tell you, probably yourself.
So they know this is actually this council, whatever they're saying,
You've been-
it's not.
Yeah.
No.
You know what yourself. But,
There's closed caption on the screen, just so you know.
Yeah, I know.
Just so you know.
Well, it's also being recorded, so.
It's being recorded too.
We're recording it.
We can go ahead and get started. I'd like to call the finance committee meeting to order at 5:32. We can start with introductions. I'll go first. Ben Kistner, board treasurer.
Susan Borgmeyer, board.
Ed Van Haley board.
Teddy Rowland, board.
Georgie McNamara, staff.
I'm Holcomb staff. George Mitchell, board.
Robin Myers, staff.
Alex Label, Blue Valley Industries.
And Hope job one.
Ashley Garrettson, staff. Shannon Maloney, Navarro, staff.
And for the couple online,
Amanda George, staff.
Andrea.
I don't know who that is.
I don't know who that is either.
Andrea Woolley.
Um,
Who that is?
yeah, she's with Human Resources.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right, we can move into the presentation of March financial statements. Tom?
Hey. Good to see you all. Thank you for your interest in ETOS's financial condition. I do have an ambitious agenda tonight, so it's been a while since we've looked at current financial statements, so I do have March to go over, and if I can figure out how to screen here. I'll do that. Maybe I should click this button that says share. Nope, that was the wrong kind of share. Here. Open up a bit. I'd like to be able to read those numbers. So, at the end of March, we had about 15.7 million in cash and investments. That's the first two lines of the balance sheet there. And as you can see, that's a growing trend as you look at the previous years. We also had $665,000 in taxes receivable for 2023 taxes. That's a big number for this time of year. And that is something I'm a little concerned about. We'll need to be watching. I figured if we got $20,000 a week, that's about 33 weeks. And I'm not sure in 33 weeks whether we're still going to be getting 20,000 a week. So I'm a bit concerned about that. It has a lot to do with people not wanting to pay their taxes based on assessment issues. So we'll see. I suspect there is a large backlog in protested taxes that we may get in a windfall. Here is the 90-day deadline for filing suit passes. We're also accruing taxes for 2024 at a similar rate as we did last year. That's why this number is similar to the number on the same line for last year. When we get to August and see what the new assessed valuation numbers look like, we'll adjust that up or down, but it shouldn't be I'm not expecting it to be a significant adjustment one way or the other. The $975,000 in accounts receivable is our receivable from Medicaid, adjusted for what we estimate is collectible. The $436,000 in prepaid expenses is mostly insurance. Other than work comp, which we pay as we go month by month, we pay all our other insurance upfront in December or January and write it off throughout the year. So that'll gradually shrink until December. Our total current assets, which are assets that are close to liquid, is $21.2 million as of the end of March. Our fixed asset total is just over 9 million. You'll see in total that that's down from 10.6 million this time last year. And I've got another page that'll show you some details about why that number's down. The $1,640,000 in notes receivable was the sales proceeds from the property that we transferred to CDD, and that we expect to be writing off that amount over the next 5 years, 1/5 a year starting in 2025. So that's total assets of $31.9 million. The liabilities that we owe against those assets, just a tiny bit under $2 million. More than half of which is the mortgage on this building. By the end of this year, that number will be under $1 million. Continue to build equity here. The other significant liabilities, about $310,000 in trade payables. And just under $500,000 in accrued time off for employees. So the equity or fund balance or capital, if you will, is just a hair under 29.9 million. So we're in a strong financial position, lots of liquidity. That means we can reasonably expect that we'll be able to pay our bills as they come due, pay our employees when they expect to get paid, and pay our providers that we've committed to. This next page is our capital budget. I'm gonna try to pick up the speed a little bit. We haven't really spent much in the way of capital expenditures, with the exception of some computers that we bought in January. And then about $114,000 of equipment for the shop at Dot. Most of that is bus cameras. Over $90,000 of that, bus cameras. So in total, we've spent about $188,000 of the $2.2 million that we have budgeted there. Okay, I did want to show you some fixed assets. We've talked for a long time about wanting to become less of a landlord, less of a property manager, to be able to concentrate more of our resources on mission. And so I would bring your attention to this column and all the zeros in it. That represent 5 properties that we've transferred out over the last year. So the land section shows zeros for property owned by Job 1, and this one by CDE. Similar here in the buildings list. The residential property is now 0, because we got rid of both of those, both White Oaks and Nola Manor. All of those properties had renovations that we've written off. And there was a little bit in the way of equipment, small items there, like water heaters. Get recorded under equipment. The total furniture and equipment number is up primarily because we buy lots of computers. You can see vehicles. I think we bought maybe 2 vehicles since this time last year. You can see the 1.9 something to 2 million on the gross line. The number, the total vehicles number here is decreasing primarily because we're depreciating those fairly rapidly, depreciating those over 5 years. So that's those are the headlines about why general fixed assets are down. 10.65 million to just a hair over. See. If you look at the income statement, I'm not gonna dwell on this too much. Be aware that there's $963,000 of gain on the sale of those CDD properties in these financial statements. So that makes the net income look excessively jolly. $1.1 million of net income, of which 963,000 is that paper gain on the properties. And I could shrink this down so you could understand what these lines actually mean. But you've got the statements in your materials, if you want to look at those. Our actual operating revenues are $300,000 under budget. Our operating expenses are $372,000 under budget. So we've got about a $70,000 favorable variance on the net. And that's before you add in a $963,000 favorable variance on the gain. Think there's anything else particularly needing to draw your attention to? So I can take questions if you have any, or we can move on. Hearing none. I'd like to talk about some proposed budget amendments next. Let's see. No one can best. Yes. I'd like to go over these in some detail now. We'll be asking you to vote on these during the board meeting. But I wanted to have an opportunity to walk through these in some detail. So here's what we'll be proposing. We're not at this time proposing any change to the revenue budget. Under operating expenses, if you're one of those people that likes to skip to the end of the book and see how it comes out, we're going to be proposing a total of an additional $400,000 in operating expenditures, which will be offset by proposing less in capital expenditures, which is on the part of the page you can't see yet. Okay, so the $400,000 additional in operating expenses that we're proposing includes $250,000 grant that we have already paid to CDD for deferred maintenance on the buildings that we transferred to them. It includes an additional $115,000 for DOT's operating budget. That's for two main things. One is for routing software. We already have, I believe it's $44,000 in the budget for routing software. But what we need in addition is to put hardware in the buses to actually use that software. And we haven't quite figured out the strategy yet for connectivity back to the base, but some sort of cellular service is going to be necessary to do that. So a portion of that 115,000 is to make the routing software work. The rest of the 115,000 is to hire an assistant director of transportation.
The manager?
assistant. I'm not sure what the title's going to end up being.
Assistant manager, assistant manager.
Thank you. Let's see. There were some shop tools in the dot budget, which I anticipated paying out of operating expenses because I thought they would be below just below the capitalization threshold. We went to buy them and they were just above the capitalization threshold. So
So here they are.
so they come out of the operating budget and we'll add them down below in the capital budget. And then the other operating budget item is $40,000 that goes in what we describe as the organizational development part of the budget, which is where agency relations lives, and that's to manage our grant process, software to manage the grant process. We're excited about that. We're expecting that that cost, the headline price on that cost is about $29,000. If you've ever done a software implementation, you know it won't be $29,000. So I'm looking to have a little margin in that number, and I'm hoping we can come in under 40. So those numbers that I've just described are the $400,700 additional cost in the operating budget. And then the number isn't explicitly here, but these items I'm about to go through on the capital expenditure side net to savings of about $403,000. So that the net is about $2,200 less spending in the entire budget. The first item is we've decided not to purchase a vehicle that we had in the budget, in the capital budget, to purchase with our own funds. We're still planning on getting all the vehicles that we can through 5310. But in order to finance some of those items up above, we're gonna skip that vehicle. We had budgeted almost $500,000, $495,500 for capital improvements to the properties that we have transferred to CDD. So we've decided not to make those improvements. We'll let CDD do that. With the $250,000 grant that we gave
Already gave
them,
them.
their own funds and wherewithal. Then we are adding expenditures to the capital budget as follows. We had $65,000 to do some concrete improvements at Southeast. That's, I can't remember which side, whether it's east or west, but one side of that building, the concrete that's there is turning to sand. And so we need to do a significant improvement there. We've done some bidding. We're still negotiating. So I hope we come out better, but it looks like it's going to cost somewhere around $85,000. We've got 65 already in the budget, so I'm asking for 20 more. Similar story in bigger numbers on our project at Prospect for Blue Valley and DPI. Doing major concrete and ADA improvements there. We had $350,000 already in the budget after going through the bidding process. It looks like we're going to be at about $485,000. Again, I know. Again, we've done some negotiations and some adjustments to the plan to try and save a few dollars. But numbers never turn out as low as you hope they will. So I'm looking for $135,000, and we're gonna do our best to manage within that, but we'll keep you informed as that process moves forward. Musselman and Hall is working on drafting a contract for us right now. We're adding $16,000 to the shop equipment part of the budget. 5,000 of that is for garage door openers that we didn't expect to have to buy. That's 2 garage door openers, $5,000. If you've seen those big garage doors, you'll know that you don't want to be the one to have to open them manually. So we paid for those, but we weren't expecting that when we built the budget. So that's about a third of that 16,000. Another roughly third of it is the shop tools that we thought were not going to be capitalized, but now turn out are capitalized. And then the rest of it is just other stuff that was already in the budget, but turned out to be more expensive than what we originally planned. So all of that stuff together is another $16,000. And the last line here is just my fault. 36,585. I forgot that this was the year we needed to replace our copiers. We replaced 12 copiers with 9.
Oh, good.
But we still had to spend $36,000 on new copiers. So again, just to summarize, the cash flow is about $2,200 different from what we originally had in the budget. But the effect on the operating statement would be to decrease net income by about $400,000. So, after I put the depreciation into the budget, we were originally looking at about $259,000 in net income. With these amendments, we'd be at $142,000 loss. As you saw from our balance sheet, we can absorb it.
We can, it's.
Okay, and so that's really what I had to tell you about the amendments. Again, we'll be asking you to vote on those during the board meeting, but while we're here, does anybody have any questions?
I guess the quick question would be, have we ever had an assistant manager down at the DOT before?
Yeah.
And now we're
Yes,
just
in
in this
fact.
position?
In fact, Roger was
Roger was.
an assistant manager there. But I'm not sure if that was the precise title, but that was the role.
We had one before, we've gone without it for a while. And the need now is that we need one is why? Anybody?
So the operation is expanding and we are looking to move into more service lines. So we want to add non-emergency medical transportation to what we're doing, which would be billing state plan Medicaid. We are expanding into part-time drivers and we are expanding into looking at non-CDL drivers. So we're really going to have 2 operations going there with set routes and then the advanced call on demand service.
Okay.
And we need a manager to not be also the backup dispatcher, which is what happens pretty regularly when we have staff who can't make it in or everybody is sick, too many doctor's appointments, and all our spares, we may be short on a spare. And so then our manager ends up answering the phones and doing dispatch. And so we just need to, I think, really look at the high, we've adjusted job descriptions. So unfortunately, the manager job description hadn't been updated since 2007. So that was a big undertaking by Georgie. She led that to get that accurate. And then when we look at all the responsibilities that are for that manager, we do have 3 supervisors, but they're busy supervising at, 10 or more drivers every day. So that assistant manager can really do the operations day to day, make sure things are going well, really work on employee relations, those kinds of things.
Thank you, ma'am.
Other comments or questions? Okay, I'm aware that we're at 6 o'clock, but if you give me 5 more minutes, I'd like to talk just a little bit about, operating reserve policy. Sure. So let me see if I. Yes. This legend. Okay, so,
Give me a little, can you give a little history on that? We did it in 2017.
the operating reserve.
Yeah.
So, right before I came to ECOS,
Okay.
the board, and I think Teddy and Tammy are probably the only ones left from that board. Hi, Tammy. Good to see you.
Your timing.
She was trying to trip me up. Got very talking.
At that, I don't know, do you all want to give any background on the,
Why we set up this reserve?
operating reserve policy?
Well. You've caught me totally off guard.
That's our house. It's okay.
Why we have the reserves?
Why do we have an operating reserve policy?
My recollection is because a couple of factors. I would say because in case there's things like a pandemic. And because we had at one time, I don't want to say an excess of funds, but a pretty substantial savings and wanted to set that back in case of emergency.
Well, that sounds like the natural.
Finance meetings that we had, there was, when I came on board, there'd been a whole series of in-depth finance, looking at the policies with the treasurer at that time. His name is escaping me. He was an attorney and detail oriented, and it came out of that series of meetings.
Well, George, Susan, and I weren't here for the meeting when we set that up, but I can tell you, to her point, thank goodness we had cash reserves in COVID. That was a critical time, so I don't know who did it or why. I don't know what the rationale was, but it's good that it was there.
Yeah, it was a very good feeling that we had the reserves.
Right, so the theory for operating reserves in general is that by having an operating reserve, it puts you in a position to deal with unexpected expenditures, which are sometimes bad things that, maybe you get sued and have to pay when you weren't expecting, maybe you have some kind of catastrophe in terms of property being destroyed that you have to replace, or God forbid, something related to people being hurt. So there are those kinds of things. There's also the cheerier idea that an unexpected opportunity might come along. Maybe somebody will come along with a brilliant idea that we never considered that would be a game changer for housing for our community in Metro. Or, we have an opportunity that we always thought would cost $40 million, but it turns out for $5 million, we can get halfway there. If we've got the $5 million to spend. Those conceptually, that's the idea behind, an operating reserve. At the time, in 2017, when they set the operating reserve, $1,850,000 was set as the amount of the operating reserve. I'm gonna be honest, I have no background or explanation for where that number came from. But I can tell you that it hasn't changed since 2017. If we had grown it with inflation, it would be $2.3 million by now. At the time that we put it in place, it was 11.6% of our operating expenses. And if we'd kept that fixed, we'd said 11.6% of operating expenses is the right measurement. Then in 2000, based on 2023 actual expenses, it'd be over 2.5 million. Based on 2024 budgeted expenses, it would be 2.7 million now. And it's my own belief, I guess not that really matters, you're the board, right? My own belief has been that we should be somewhere closer to half of a year's operating expenses. If we were at 15%, that'd be 3.5 million. If we were at 20%, that'd be 4.7 million. 25%, 5.9 million. So we had cash and investments on hand November 30th, which is our low point, of $8.5 million. So as sort of a sanity check, those numbers aren't crazy. You don't want an operating reserve of your entire cash amount at that point, because just like your checking account, you don't really ever want to see it get to zero. So we need some money that's not part of the reserve just to make the float work, so anyway, that's some background. I don't intend to try and launch into a deeper conversation, but you've got this information in your materials, something that you can be thinking about until our next board meeting. The other thing that you have in your materials that I wanted to mention is the actual policy, the operating reserve policy. It's only a couple of pages long. So I'd suggest that you take a shot at reading it. It is written by an attorney. It is complex for only a couple of pages. It is quite complex, but it's my belief that it calls for us to do at least 4 things that we're not doing right now. And as far as I can tell, nobody misses it. Nobody's wishing we were doing, I've never had requests to do those things, but if you would read through the policy and see, are there things in there it's asking us to do that you wish we were doing? Absolutely, we'll comply. But if not, let's adjust the policy so it doesn't say we're doing things that we're not.
Update.
I've read the policy. What are the 4 things? Sorry? Make it easy for us.
Yep. Let me see if I can get. So I lied to you, it's actually 4 pages. There, it's items 2 and 3 under cash to be kept on hand for operations. And then items 2 and 3 under cash available for mission-related expenditures. So the first one says that the executive director should keep you informed if there's a place where the cash to be kept on hand for operations, and you have to do some reading to figure out what that means. But if it looks like that's going to be negative, the executive director is supposed to let you know in advance. I don't think we've been to a point where that's been a danger. But if that's important to you, then we want to know that. Item number 3 says that we'll calculate and tell you every month what the cash to be kept on hand for operations is.
Every month.
So that's what the policy says. And then item number 2, under cash available for mission-related expenditures, says that the executive director should let you know her thoughts on an ongoing basis about how we can use that cash. And item 3, down there at the bottom, says that we should disclose in our financial statements and a footnote to our audited year-end financial statements what the cash available for mission-related expenditures is. Those definitions are within this policy. They're not necessarily in the generally accepted accounting principles literature. So it's not something that the auditors would be used to signing off on. That's not to say that they would object. I haven't had the conversation. If it's something you want to see in our audit, then I'll certainly talk to them about it.
In effect,
Go ahead. No, please, go ahead.
in effect, are these the treasury bills or those that are reserve funds in effect?
So that is a slightly more complicated question than it at first seems. But those are our segregated funds. Those are funds that we don't have in our checking account, so we can be confident we won't accidentally spend that money.
Right.
And that is something that this policy calls for, is for us to, whatever is our operating reserve, to segregate it. Now, right now, we're segregating more than the 1,850,000 for our own return strategies. But
You're recommending when the attorney takes a look at this and changes the verbiage?
I'm not recommending that. I'm recommending that you read it between now and our next meeting, and let me know what you think,
Now the next board meeting?
which is 2
I
months
think
from
what
now. I
happened.
think.
Okay, I'll just double check, because I
It's
thought
for
the second-
board members.
2 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was like,
Okay.
read now, people.
For the May board
Skim.
meeting, is that what you're saying?
It would actually, May will be canceled,
Yeah.
so good try, but June.
Outside of Georgie providing us with this information, can you make the argument that we, in a roundabout way, are discussing it in the finance committee meeting would you review the statements? I mean, I know you're not saying cash on hand is this, but you are saying these things just in different verbiage. You could make the argument that it says Georgie should be provided, so maybe we can remove that and put, somebody else. But I feel like you can make the argument without actually changing much of anything that we are talking about these things.
That's exactly what I was thinking, is that you guys get detailed financial information every single month.
Yep.
Do you really want a separate email from me?
No,
No, yes, Georgie.
Well, I really had to think about that.
One more. That, we probably should go through the policy and try to simplify it. I don't need, because probably by the time you would really put what we actually want in the policy, in this policy, I doubt it's gonna be 4 pages long.
Oh, no.
Oh, I don't think it would.
It might be a
either.
page and a half to 2.
And I don't think it would be a set amount. I think it would be a percentage or something.
Right, but I think that's something that we need to take the next couple of months to think about,
Yeah.
to what that set amount is, and have that discussion.
Yeah.
And for the previous places where we've done it by months, so 6 months operating reserve, 3 months operating reserve, whatever.
Oh, that's-
And that would be, that tells you how much, and it would vary from year to year based on the budget.
That's all I've got.
Okay, thank you. And we'll move right along so we can jump into the board meeting. I don't think there's any old business to discuss. We already did the new business, so we'll move into public comment. Anyone? All right, and move to adjourn the meeting, and if I hear no objections, we will adjourn the finance committee meeting at 6:15. Jump right
And
in.
we'll move right along into the board meeting, starting at 6:15. We're going to call this to order. Quick introduction of, the board, just for a roll call sake. I'll start with myself, George Mitchell, board chair.
Ben Kistner, board treasurer.
Susan Borgmeyer, board.
Tammy Kemp Board.
Ed Van Haley, board member.
Teddy Rowland, vice chair.
Stu May, board member.
Georgie McNamara, staff.
Tom Holcomb, staff.
Robin Myers, staff.
Alex Label, Blue Valley Industries.
Dan Hooksang, Job One. Amy Taylor, Life Unlimited.
Mary Davis, Life Unlimited.
Diane Beck, company champion.
Ashley Garrison, staff. Shannon Maloney, Navarro, staff.
And then anyone that joined us online.
Amanda George, staff.
Tracy Mock, staff.
Right, is that it? All right. So, moving on to the secretary's report. I see that Jillian is not here. I think she may be traveling, so the report was sent out. Hopefully everyone had a chance to review that. I'll stop and ask if there's any questions, any comments. And if none,
I move that we accept as presented, accept those minutes as presented.
right, have a motion in a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Yeah. Finance committee, go ahead.
So Tom gave a presentation on the financial statements as of March 31st, 2024. As of that date, there's roughly 15.7 million in cash and investments. That's continuing to grow nicely year over year. Prior year tax receivables were up significantly to 665,000 from the prior year. That's something that's going to be monitoring in the coming months just to ensure that that number is maintaining. Total current assets are roughly 21.2 million, up year over year again, but the fixed assets total of 9 million is down slightly year over year. Total liabilities were a little under 2 million. Most of that right now is the mortgage on this building. In summary, lots of liquidity, strong financial position, no concerns right now.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for Ben's report? Right, we have a motion to accept the report as presented.
I so move.
Second.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Next up, just like that, under provider report.
Yeah, I don't want to do anything back. So, hello, welcome.
Hey there.
Thank you for having us. I'm Amy Taylor, Chief Operating Officer at Life Unlimited. I'm Mary Davis. I'm the Vice President over our Community Living Program. And we really, just thank you for giving us a few minutes of the agenda. We promised to keep it brief, but we did want to come down and talk to you all about our services in Jackson County. What we've been doing down here for a few years and what we're expanding and getting ready to do more of down here in the next little bit, so that you guys are aware. So we are Life Unlimited. We are an organization that now consists of 4 founding organizations, as we like to say, which is, I think Julie was on that side. We are Immaculata Manor in the Clay County area, Concern Care in North Kansas City, Open Options, or UCP in Jackson County, and now Merrill up in the St. Joe area, Buchanan County. So we provide multiple services to adults with developmental disabilities. Some of those services we have listed up here are behavioral services, ABA, community living,
So we have ISLs, group homes, and semi-independent living settings in both Jackson and Clay County, as well as Platte. Now, we have day services, which we'll get into. That's our My Day program, which, again, we have 2 up in Liberty, a new one in Lee Summit, and a new one that will be opening next year in Blue Springs area. Our community support options, really cool program. That is for our individuals who live in their own homes, own apartment, typically on their own. And our staff come in just a few hours a week to provide critical kind of services to them. So it keeps them off of the comprehensive waiver with more intensive wraparound services and in their own homes in the community, where we can just drop in, do those services that are needed, and then get out and let them live independently. And then our recreation program, which is our therapeutic rec program. It's been around forever and ever. And that serves, again, individuals up in our Clay County and then some down here in Jackson County. Yeah, currently right now we have over 300 individuals in our core programs, our waiver programs, and 500 that participate in those rec programs as well. So, our sports program, the next slide. This is our therapeutic recreation program that's down here in Jackson County. This is our bowling league. And these are some of our individuals that are funded by the ETOS grant that we have. And that has been, I believe, funded, Jim said, since 1984 by ETOS. So our therapeutic rec program down here. Jim said he thinks some of those participants maybe have been there since 1980. Yeah, it's still coming. It's still going strong with the bowling program. But I think this season, our bowling league is about 24 individuals. They bowl at the Premier Bowl in Raytown on Thursdays. And Mark McMillan's been a longtime bowling champion and bowling coach of that program. So that's a little update on our ETOS funded program. Our other programs that I touched briefly about that we just want to kind of give you guys an overview of. Again, we talked about Lee Summit, My Day that just opened in, I believe, August of last year. Most of you guys hopefully have heard about that. That's an expansion of our 2 Liberty My Day day have programs. We, I think, are about ready to achieve 100% occupancy in month 8 or 9. It's been really popular, really successful. So much so that we just officially last week closed on a building in Blue Springs. And we'll be looking at another location up there. That building is the old UMB Bank building. It's huge. We're going to be able to serve about 90 individuals, 80-ish maybe individuals out of that site instead of the 40 or so that we do in our other sites. Another exciting expansion with our My Day program is that we've started our clubhouse model inside of that My Day. So that is 100% community-based. So they will come to those centers during the day to get in their transportation groups, but then they are out. And they are out volunteering. They set their own curriculum. They decide as a group what they're going to be doing week to week, month to month. But that is a model that we've started up in Clay County and now are going to be bringing to the Lee Summit My Day. And that'll just automatically, when you open Blue Springs, be a part of that model as well. So really driving that out and about, community connections, learning community resources, volunteer, and even more, I think, cool, they're setting their own agenda about what they want to do with their day, with their time. Community living, we have 40 individuals in our 17 homes. I'm gonna pass that to Mary here in a minute. She's gonna talk more about that. Behavioral services, I don't know how much of you guys know about the behavioral services. I know our ETOS staff does. It's hugely, it's huge demand for that service. We have a lot of individuals sitting in hospitals and treatment centers that need to be in community settings for their residential. They need that behavioral team wrapped around them to make that successful. So as soon as we can find a board certified behavioral analyst to hire, they have a caseload. So we continue to expand that program. I think we're up to 4 BCBAs and 1 student BCBA. And we have just started our RBTs, which are registered behavior technicians that work. They're kind of like working with our board certified behavioral analysts to execute the plans in the homes and in the programs with the staff. They really just kind of help make sure that our treatment teams and our facility teams have fidelity to those behavioral programs that the behaviorals BCBA is right. Critically important service though for our individuals, especially as the state, counties and communities really try to target those individuals that are in like higher level treatment in hospitals and residential settings that need to get out in the community. CSO, we have 11 of our individuals down here. Again, that's that part-time service and our employment service. I know job one's huge down here. We do similar services to what job one does. We're doing that employment coaching, job coaching, employment specialists. So really focusing on making sure every individual coming out of high school or anywhere knows there is competitive employment opportunities for them in our community, and they have that as a choice, if they so desire. Community living, I'm asked Mary to talk a little bit about some of our new homes down here in Jackson County and what we're doing with our community living program.
Yeah, so thank you. Really, I love community living. If you've ever worked community living, you're probably thinking why, but I love the chaos. And so it's a very fun program. For Jackson County, we've been doing a lot of consolidations within our department. For instance, we had some individuals that were living in some high crime neighborhoods, apartments and stuff. And so we were able to recently purchase a home, and they will be moving into a new home in a way better neighborhood. It was two locations that they always hung out with each other, but just affordably, what they could afford was in these apartment settings. And now they are all like in a location, they can have their really safety. I mean, when we provide services, not only do we want to provide good services, but we also want to provide safe services. Also, as Amy kind of mentioned with the ADA, a lot of our on the referral database that we are finding is a lot of individuals that are in hospital settings, psychiatric hospitals. Recently, we worked with an ETOS service coordinator about an individual who was just in a hospital setting, jail, homeless. Hospital setting, jail, homeless, was in Nevada, Missouri, and was basically found here in Kansas City. And we could quickly provide services to that individual. That individual who was hospital, homeless, jail, now lives in one of our newer homes. And just to see the individual, like, say he doesn't deserve a nice house is just kind of sad. So really just trying to empower individuals that they deserve just as well as we deserve. And like, how can we as an agency really make sure that they live in a safe, nice, accessible home? So yeah, we are really growing our program. We opened 2 new locations. With the stories that I just explained to you, we're hoping to get another property in Jackson County. Our wait list is very long. Today I just had an intake meeting and it was just this, people in hospitals, people in nursing homes. On Friday, we actually just got an individual that is in our Jackson County group home that was just in a nursing home at age 23. And so it was 23 from St. Louis, couldn't find affordable housing, couldn't find staff that could support her specific needs, and into a nursing home she went. We had another individual in our Blue Springs location in a nursing home. So when we actually picked him up in Bellevue, Missouri, he was just like, I can't wait to have a girlfriend. And he got one within very shortly, he got one. And so, and just listening to him share about, I love to cook, but not being able to cook because I wasn't allowed into the kitchen. And so really, I think that for our program, we are just growing, expanding, and just trying to help everybody just get the services that they deserve. And yeah, I don't know if there's anything. Cool. Oh, questions? George Murphy. He's prepared for you.
You used some initials, some
I'm
acronyms.
sorry, yeah.
Could you tell us what some of those are? Like,
Yes,
is that-
yes. ABA, you probably saw that is Applied Behavioral Analytics. That's what I thought. Behavioral team. So those, and I said BCBA probably, that is the
I know
board
what
certified
that is.
behavior, yeah. That's the team that, you know, they have master's degree in behavioral techniques to help stabilize and minimize behaviors that are problematic or preventing individuals from achieving independence, basically. CSO is our community support option. That is the program that individuals live in their own home. And they just have staff drop into their home 2 hours a week, 20 hours a week, whatever it may be. But they're not living in an ISL or group home where staff's kind of there constantly. They just are able to be mostly independent. And we can just come into their homes a little bit as needed. And like I said, that keeps them off of the more intensive, expensive, comprehensive waiver where they're staffed all the time. ISL group homes, okay.
It just, not everybody.
ISL, independent, yeah, individualized support living, thank you. Our ISLs are homes where you are able to customize the amount of services and hours you get. So you may have one-on-one staff for a little bit while you need to go out and do something, or while you know, doctor's appointment, and then you have 1 to 3 staff during certain hours a day. So you just get to customize your staffing pattern, basically. How many staff do I need in this home at any time? Where group homes are a little more of a fixed ratio. It's a 1 to 3, it's a 1 to 4, it's a 1 to 5, whatever it may be.
I forgot to mention that even in community living, we are starting remote support services. So we just recently launched it in one of our Jackson County locations. So the individual I was sharing, hospital, jail, homeless, he's actually a lot of support, not really needed. I think that sometimes we overstaff people. And so really what he wanted was independence. And so now we are launching remote support services for him on the overnight shift and just trying to see how we can just expand that for individuals, you know, instead of having a staff stare at them, they can just press a button and just say, I need help. So, yeah.
Quick question. Can we talk fast or
I
no?
We're totally only have 5 minutes. I'm like, I think we're like out of time.
We only fund you for a bowling league?
Bowling right now, yep, yes.
That's a great
We've been heavy in North Lake County, but we are coming.
Oh, so he said that's all we've asked for. Oh, so it's just an ask.
Well, secondly, like she's getting ready to say, they have mostly been up in Clay
Yeah.
County and Northern Liberty, you know, with Beckwith, Banner and whatever else. So them recently starting to come south.
Yeah.
And you are funded by Clay County, correct?
Yes, the DRB definitely gives us grants, projects and programs up there. We merged with Open Options, I think, January 1st, 2019, and then of course the pandemic quickly hit. So we've been down here for 5 years, but in the pandemic, we were kind of, you know, all sheltered for a couple of years in the middle of that. So we are with our day program expansion and more referrals coming down that want the Jackson County. We're purchasing more homes down here. We're definitely growing down in Jackson County quite a bit.
That's good.
Which is why they were on the list to come and speak.
Yeah.
Let us know how we can help ongoing. We will.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right. Next on the agenda is George's report with the executive director's report.
Any questions for me?
Comments, love the Leadership Academy.
I do.
That is outstanding. Do you know who's participating?
I have the list of names. I'm afraid I don't really, Amanda, do you know any of the people? I mean, I know, I can tell you the agencies that are sending. John One is
Tracy's on.
sending-
Tracy knows.
Oh, Tracy. We're putting you on the spot. I have the names in my email.
Yeah, so Southeast, Job One. Gosh, who else is on that list?
CDD, I think.
I don't remember CDD. Oh my gosh.
I can send you out the list of names.
Yeah,
and the-
please.
if they work.
We canvassed all the different organizations.
We sent out to them and then we didn't get a huge response. So Tracy then sent it, instead of to the directors, she sent it on to the program management level. And so we got more response after that. I think sometimes executive directors get a lot of email and can't really deal with it all immediately. So that worked a lot better to get referrals.
Is there a cost?
I apologize.
We pay for the time of our contractor, who's Tammy Ogren. They pay for the materials that they get to keep, which is about $150 a person.
I just put lots of smiley faces. I love the leadership, the funding software. The legislative event, I think, is great, and the Easter seals. You want to tell us a little bit more about the pipe fitters building and all of that?
Oh, I just wanted to let you guys know that it is for sale, and or it's not for sale, I'm sorry. It is potentially coming up for sale, and the real estate agent who is representing them while they're doing a strategic plan about what their future growth needs are, just let me know that in a meeting about a different issue. He wanted me to know that it could very well be coming on the market.
Would we really need more space?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay.
One of the questions we have is, Dot's out of room. So as we expand and do an advanced call and that sort of thing, we're talking about possibly moving that somewhere else, dividing it up a little bit. But that's all stuff that's like not even written down anywhere yet. It's brainstorming types of options. So I don't think we would be ready to purchase anything if it did go inside.
We're just getting rid of things.
Yeah. We want a smaller footprint, not a bigger.
Yeah.
But I just wanted it on your radar. Because it could sell it to a huge apartment complex that makes our traffic here impossible and then, you know. something like
Did anything happen with those House bills or is it still just up in the air?
We don't think that the House bill is gonna have time to be dealt with because there's been a lot of.
I always pray for May to come this time.
They're not doing much, but I think it's gonna keep coming back. I think it's gonna keep coming back. And Amanda and I are meeting in the morning with Senator Sirpo, is that it? Sirpo. Yeah, we're meeting with him in the morning and Amanda's met with him before. He's met her, but we just want to make sure that the Senate is aware because he's on the Appropriations Committee. Actually, so is Barbara Washington. And then my rep is, or senator is Lauren Ashley. Arthur. I always say Ashley and it's Arthur.
Yeah.
Up north. And they're also, those two are also on the Appropriations Committee, but they're preaching to the choir. You know, because they already support 100% our causes. What we really would like to have is a raise in the support coordination rate. It's, I mean, we've had to raise our salaries, we've had to, and so we can't continue to do what we're doing without a significant raise to the rate.
Do we have any legislators coming to the picnic?
Yes, Robin, do you know that list right offhand? She's got all the RSVPs.
There are 6 people coming total.
Sam Graves is sending someone, but he's not coming himself. And Frank White, of course, is our speaker, or he kind of does the opening.
He's gonna do the intro at 1.
Oh, Sean is coming. Sean Smith.
This doesn't have anything to do with your note, I guess in a way it does, ability KC. If we had follow-up on that as far as the plan of action.
So we haven't got the new budget. What's happened was when we sat down and met with them, they are very committed to making some changes, but realized that they needed to start back a little bit further than what they had asked us money for. And they needed they're rewriting everything for us because what we're wanting them to do now is hire a support coordinator or a case manager to help people there get Medicaid, get waivers, get support coordination. They're not at the point yet of providing waiver services for customized employment because people don't even have waivers at this point. So they kind of needed to step back and punt thank you, Ann, because their model, I mean, they helped us talk it through with Ability KC a little bit too, of what you need to do before you're ready to even jump into customized employment. And Tracy, I would invite you or Amanda to comment on that as well.
They're also working on getting training in customized employment because they haven't taken that step either. So they know where they want to go and can't get there as fast as they thought they could. So they're just backing up, retooling, and it will cost no more money, but I think the time they're taking to plan is good.
It's much more realistic.
Megan Marshall is coming. Chris Sander, Matt Voke is coming for Sam Graves, Anthony Ely, Kemp Strickler, Michael Johnson, and Sean Smith.
Very good. More information on the training with DEI of KC?
Oh,
is that for ETOS or is that for community?
So that may very well not happen now. Quick update. We had put money in the budget for a really big training. One of the things that we've been trying to do, and that's in the strategic plan, is for us not to be the best kept secret in Jackson County anymore, and to position ourselves as thought leaders rather than service providers. More of a funding and helping Jackson County be on the cutting edge type of thing. And so we had put in money in the budget for a big name trainer event. And we had thought we would partner with someone else to do a DEI event. And what we've just found out is that there's multiple DEI major events going on right around the exact same time that we had ours planned or had tentatively planned for ours. So we're thinking, we don't want to do what everybody else is already doing. And we want it to be meaningful. We want it to be something that creates value, not copies what else is already being done. So we're going back to the drawing board on that one.
can we possibly get, our
People there
people, yeah.
to the
as-
other
Yeah,
one?
the Center for
Part of those.
Disability Inclusion, and we're planning to register.
Okay,
That's-
good.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. You're reading our minds, or you're right, you're ahead of us, whichever.
Very
Yeah.
good.
There was also an opportunity to partner with Children's Mercy on the Hispanic Heritage Month, where you guys are gonna have an event. But we need to make sure that it accomplishes the goal of the strategic plan, that it would also be something that would help us get name recognition and thought leadership recognition.
The Children's Mercy Transitions Conference, is September 28th, and I'm
Yeah.
sure that we will.
That's the same week as the
Have some
DEI
there. Oh, okay.
conference that CDI is doing. Center for Disability Inclusion is doing diversity, equity, inclusion, 2-day event, the 25th and the 26th of September.
All right,
Or the
ours is
26th of
the 28th, and
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll have people there.
Oh, yeah, we'll definitely be there, Tammy.
Yes.
Have we had any more of our service provider network group meetings?
We've done 2 with the providers in general,
Uh-huh.
and probably 3 or 4 or Alex, 3 maybe?
3.
With the sheltered workshops, and I think the last one we had was probably the best one we had with the sheltered workshops. Because they all were able to get up in front of everybody and put what you do on little notepads, and so we were able to kind of see what they're all doing and what only some of them are doing. And I don't know, I thought it was really informative, and people shared ideas and
Oh, good.
epiphanies, and
Good.
that's a step toward helping us figure out how we're gonna fund
Yeah.
sheltered
Sure.
workshops. Like, what is the base thing that sheltered workshops do that we could fund as part of our statute? And what are the things that are above and beyond that we would want to tie additional funding to?
Lots of good stuff.
We've been busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions for me? Okay, then I yield the floor.
Right. Oh, new business. Mr. Tom, you had some, recommendations for us? Amendments? You want to think about?
As you may recall from the previous meeting, I have some proposed budget amendments. We discussed these in some depth. So my question is, do you need more discussion? Do you need to vote on these separately? Or are you interested in adopting all the amendments as presented? That obviously is your call.
I'm interested in accepting all as one. Can I move that? Is that a motion? Yeah.
Need a motion?
Okay, I'm gonna move that we accept the entirety of the budget amendments that Tom presented. I'll second it.
Thank you. So I have a motion in a second. Is there any other questions or discussion?
Did I miss it? Did you go over it earlier?
It was in the finance committee.
Oh, okay.
Poor Sue.
All right.
Should we review it for Stu then?
No, no, that's all right. I did see that. Okay.
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay, so go ahead and call the question. All those in favor of the motion that's out there, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. All right.
Thank you.
And we have another authorizing resolution for us to discuss.
Robin, do you have that? You want to read it, or would you like me to read it? I can't explain why. MoDOT requires us every year to give Georgie the authority to sign contracts related to the MECAP agreement.
Probably something with
That's what this
great
resolution is.
state.
Okay,
George is dying to read it.
I guess I will, yeah. So the authorizing resolution is whereas the Missouri Department of Transportation is authorized to make grants for elderly and handicapped transportation projects, and now therefore be it resolved by the Development and Disability Services of Jackson County, EPOS, that the executive director is authorized to execute the agreements on the behalf of said entity. With Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission for financial assistance through the Missouri Elderly and Handicapped Transportation Assistance Program, adopted this day, the 23rd of April, 2024. That is the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any questions? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right. I'll grab this here in a second. Think the amount of the color of the ink.
I don't believe it does.
I'm a bullying person too.
Yeah. Any old business for us to discuss? Any public comment?